So the question is, yes, to explain more on modules. Let's say you have a simple Python file, let's say file.py, and you have another, let's say file2.py. These are Python files. Now we're trying to explain it in a very simple way. These files can be executed as uh, programs, or as executable programs, or you can also import things from those files, meaning that you can use them as, let's say, libraries. The terms library come from the C programming language world, but in the Python world, we say modules. So a Python files can be either considered to be as an executable file or a module. A module contains a list of symbols like variables, declaration, definitions, functions, definitions, and you can import those functions into other files that might need it. So basically, all Python files are files, just Python files. They can be executed or they can be used somewhere else. Now let's define, let's say I have Python file 1. Um, Give me a second. We're going to add the hashbang tag, the Python version on in each of these files. Okay. So this is a file. It is not required when you do not plan to use this file as an executable, but it's good practice to add the Python versions and when the files is about to get executed. Okay. So either way, this is a Python file. This is what we have to remember. And inside this Python file, you can write Python code. So you can add your if statement, declare the variables, define functions, all those things you can do them. Let's just declare a variable called a, or even just say something like name config is equal to some random things. So this is the variables we defined in the file, in the Python file, the first Python file here. I'm going to name it file 1. Yes, the Python file 1. And inside the Python file 1, the Python file 2, we can import things from the file 1. This is possible. So that way, um, for the Python file 2, the file 1 is going to be considered to be as a module. In other words, as a library. Uh, Modules is the term we use in the Python world. So a module is a file from which we import symbols, variables, or functions. We use the keyword import, that's it, from file 1, import the name config variable. So there is these things called the symbol table. So each files has, or each Python modules or Python files has its own symbols table. So we can import some symbols from within other files and add them to the current Python files. So this is what this statement does. We imported the name config variables from the Python file one. Then that way here for the file 2.py, file one is considered to be as a module because we imported things from it. And the same things is that these two files can be executed, meaning that you can run these two Python files. So they are at the same times executables. They are at the same times they can also be used as modules, so they can be we can import things from them. Let's turn these add permissions, execution permissions onto these two files and see how things fit together. Now, both of these files can be executed. So the Python interpreter can run them. We have the permission for that. Or if you want, they can be used as modules, which simply means you can import something from them. Okay. Ah, great. So I hope, yes, now I think it's clear. So you can just say run the file 2 as an executable, or you can run file 1 as an executable. Same things. And here, nothing displayed, but let's say display the global variable from within the file 1. Yes, we say file 1. And here we say file 2. So when you compile, you see that file 1, oh, sorry. So when you run the file 1 executable or the Python file, what happened? Oh, yes, file 1.py. So it displayed file 1. So this code get executed. Now let's execute the file 2.py. And it displayed file 1, then file 2. How this happened? So the thing is that when you're importing or you when you're importing things from another Python files, this also Python file also get executed before the import complete. This is why uh, we check the underscore name global variable to make sure that to check if the file is being used as a module or it's being used as a command line. So we can say here, in order to prevent the file 1 message to be displayed from within the execution of file 2, we can just add this check here. So if the name is set to main, so if the symbols underscore for the file 1, the symbol underscore name is set to main, then we know that we are executing it. So now when you execute the file 2.py, the file 1 is imported. Still, it's going to be executed, but this time we made sure there are certain code we don't want to execute uh, while we when we are importing. So the name will be different than it will be different to it will be different from main. So this is why when now we execute the file 2.py, we only see file 2 displayed. But some other files or some other Python files might want to import the file 2. And for that, we also might want to make sure that certain codes are not going to be executed. So file 2, and that's it. So this is the things about the modules. All Python files are files, but they can be used as executable in the command line, or they can be imported in other Python files. So that way, the term change, we call them modules because we import things from them. Thank you. Is there any other questions? Okay, great. So the video will be available to on YouTube, and for any other questions or task related, we can discuss on the WhatsApp group. Thank you. Have a great day.